there. It's 2019 already.
It's the 2nd.
Today is Wednesday, the 2nd of January. And I've got a visitor. I am podcasting today with Clarisabeth of the Crochetcakes podcast. For those of you that have been around for a while, for those of you that are new viewers, this is my daughter Clarisabeth, and I'm her mom, Caroline, and we are recording.
Or so we think.
And we are recording from the western side of the island of Puerto Rico in a small town called Aguada, where I now live with my husband and his dog Snoopy, because Clarisabeth lives
in Florida.
And she's been
Mistakes
there
were made.
for almost a year.
Yeah. I moved in February. I moved the 3rd of February. I moved on the 3rd of February, I think. So yeah, it's almost been a year. Perhaps I should have stayed the whole of January to make sure it was a year. But here we are, still celebrating Christmas, because as we often remind you guys, Christmas in most of the Hispanic countries lasts until the 6th of January, which is Epiphany, or Three Kings Day, as we call it on the island.
But anyway, I hope you all had a happy holiday. And I hope that your new year has begun with a bang and that you're all excited about the opportunity to start over again and to redefine your goals, to redefine your situation in life, to redefine everything around you and just decide to start over from scratch or to amend the path that you have taken and take your life and your crafting, in our sense, right, in a new direction. So we want to start out with a little reflection of what 2018 brought us. In addition to the separation, I began podcasting with my daughter Clarisabeth as part of the Crochetcakes podcast. And in February, I had to decide, make or break. Right? I had to decide to continue or to just forget about the whole business. And since I had pretty many projects on the go because we had been podcasting and we're always trying to keep up our content, I did one deciding that I was going to tie up my loose ends, and then I just went on. Right?
Yeah.
So it's been a year of many changes.
A lot.
I wrote down some of the differences in my crafting life. I have notes today. And so I put them down as new skills, but some of them are skills and some of them are just new practices, new habits. I began podcasting, that was number one, and it wasn't totally new, but being alone and the focus of the camera lens, and Jesus, all the editing and whatnot, and
yeah, because before
uploading,
I used to do the editing,
before Clarisabeth would take care of that part. Well, it has been a learning experience. I also dwelled into pattern design by designing my first sock, my sweet socks, that some of you even joined us in October and crocheted. A couple of people crocheted up that pattern. Along with that one, I also published my miniature hooked sock that was made to be used as an ornament or as a well, I made a couple of pendants with that even. Well, whatever. It was small, and you could either put it on your tree or you could put it on your neck, as I did. You could probably make it smaller and put it on your ears. I don't know. It was just a miniature design for you to play with. In addition to that, I created a collar, a pointed collar, a pointed beaded collar. And I was thinking about this morning if maybe I should have just put all the beads onto the yarn to begin with and then just crocheted the beads into the pattern so you didn't have to sew them later on. The only thing about that was that you would need, because we were using DK weight, you would need beads with very large holes. And they're not, at least here on the island, they're not always easy to find. They weren't in my stash, so that was another design that I made a couple of them. I saw some people download it, and Clarissa, I think she trialed it too.
I made a yellow version of it.
And I think those were my 3 designs. I also dwelled into felting. This was a year of felting for me. I wool painted and also felted. I created an ornaments also for like around the house and things like that. And so I ventured into that.
Mini sock.
Oh, you mean because I didn't bring them? Well, I do have one here that I turned into a bookmark that I showed you in the past. So there's still one here.
Can't find the collar. No, I have it. Ah, here it is.
There's still one here.
And this is the collar.
You think
my version of it. It's my version of the collar.
So these are all things that I shared with you over the year. I guess one of the crocheting skills that I ventured into was the C2C. I had never done C2C before, and so that was a new skill that I practiced this year. And I also had first time yarn festival and even first time local yarn shop, because we don't have a lot of yarn shops here on the island. We did go to the only one that we knew of for my birthday, and then was it before that I went with Vivian of the KCACY podcast to my first yarn shop in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I think it was before that. I think it was before that. So
it was a year of new experiences, and what else could we expect of 2019 but to continue in that direction? How was your year?
Well, I actually made notes of it. We did watch our previous episode of 2018, the first episode we did together of 2018, which 2 days from now will have been uploaded for a year.
We'll put up a little handle, a little card, once this is uploaded, so that you can actually go there and see it if you want to.
So in terms of skills, I did not do any C2C. I did not do any crochet cables or knit cables, but I did do some pattern designing of my own and some math skills, figuring out sizes and everything. So I think that was a plus side of the year. Yeah, I think that was like my biggest achievement, actually venturing out into the craft world and starting my blog, which you didn't mention, but you've also been working on your blog. Well, my blog,
did I start it this year?
Well,
I revamped it, I guess, because yes, I already had it up for jewelry, and so I just modified it for my crochet.
And, you know, opening my Etsy shop, that was a huge thing I did also in 2018. So, you know, it's been a big year of ups and downs. There were a lot of health issues in 2018 for me. You know, lots of falling and stuff like that, but
well, that's just normal. I'm sure there's been lots of falling in other years too, because...
But this year I feel like got hit hard.
But this year Mommy wasn't there to, you know, to make it better, so it was a little bit harder.
I crocheted 6 garments, which is, I think I did the same amount last year if I think about it, because last year I know I did 13 garments, but I was counting my sewn skirts and dresses. So this year I did 6 crochet garments, 3 of which I designed myself. So that's also kind of huge, for me anyway. I conquered the Good Vintage Granny cardigan, which was, you know, if you've watched previous episodes of the Crochetcakes podcast, we talked about it. It was a bit of an uphill battle with that. I crocheted my first pair of socks this year.
And I knit my first pair of socks.
Yeah. So, you know, it's also been a sock venture for us as well.
How was your sock count this year?
I did 5. Most of them were for me, which is weird because usually I make more for you than for me. But this year I crocheted and I did the pattern testing, which is a skill you also did.
Right.
Because I tested your pattern, but you tested Addie Day's pattern.
Right, I did the pattern testing. And I also did a block hop, which I had never done when we were doing the sock along.
Yep.
And most of my socks were made for that sock along. And in the preparation for the sock along, I made about 4 pairs of my own sweet socks.
I did 2, but I do have plans for 2 more because I really love the pattern. And in most cases, I also just use
there is a green pigeon pea plant outside the window, right outside the window, and so it's a windy day. It's a nice cool day today.
It is. It's very nice, but the plant is so big that it keeps scratching
against the window
pane.
And the pane is metal, so I'm sorry. You're going to hear that.
Anyway, let's keep talking about our sock ventures. I knit my first pair of man's socks. I think that was the crowning glory. But you know, to be fair, socks, knit socks specifically, are not something I work on every day. They're something I knit, I got tired of that, let's put it aside, and then when I'm going on long car rides or things like that, I'm like, let's take it with me so it can travel. Because as I've discussed previously, I get car sick. I cannot knit in the car, I cannot read in the car, so I try to knit until I get dizzy and then I stop. So my knitting travels a lot with me, more than gets knit on, I think. But yeah, so those are socks.
I think our biggest category were accessories, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's
we
my
did
biggest
tons
one.
of additional accessories.
Yeah, we did a lot of hats this year.
I did hats.
How many did you do?
I didn't do a lot of hats.
No?
I just did one.
I did a lot.
I did your pattern.
Yeah.
Your linen hat pattern,
true.
slouchy linen hat pattern. All of these we did for free. We just put them up on our blogs. Clarisabeth has her crochetcakes.com and I am mindandmusecrafts.com and they're all there still.
And I also did video tutorial for the linen stitch slouchy hat, so I did like 3 versions of that hat. Just so I could do a photo tutorial and then a video tutorial. And then I did a hat for Edison and a hat to give away. So I did 5. I had actually planned to do 7, but my brother doesn't really use hats, so he got scratched off that list.
Well, he does, but we didn't know if we could fit his likings, right? His preferences in fashion and whether he liked slouchy or whether he liked fitted or whether he liked beanies or whether he liked big rimmed or whatever. Yeah. So we decided this year we barely did any gifting.
No, I gave Edison a pair of socks for his birthday. I gave you the Liula for Christmas, and that was it. Nobody else got the privilege of handmade gifts this year. I was particularly stingy with that because
it's a lot of work for it to go unappreciated.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So we just kept it to ourselves because we appreciate each other.
Yeah.
And we appreciate our crafting.
But ironically, I do have makes that I want to give away for next Christmas.
Well,
so
ultimately, I don't know how you guys do it, but ultimately, if you crochet for many years or knit for many years or whatever your craft that you practice, if you don't give away, what do you do with all of those shawls? What do you do with all of the socks? People are making pairs of sock every month. And then what do you do with all of those? I mean, I know you can use them, but can you use that many socks? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately,
I think so.
You move on to gifting because you just want to use your yarn and get rid of it.
Basically.
Well,
I mean, I only did 1 shawl this year.
Are you bringing any whips from 2018 and 2019 that are worthy of mentioning?
I have so many.
Oh my. Well, I only decided that I was going to bring 3 whips. Was it 3 or 4? 3 whips with me into the new year. You'll remember most of them are socks. I have my Jemima socks that I'm going to continue working on.
Well, I'm going to continue working
Crossing my fingers because I totally forgot how to make my toe. I've got the
Impressionist shawl.
The Impressionist shawl is number 1 that I'm going to bring out of hibernation once I finish what I'm working on right now. And then I've also got the second pair of socks that I started for the Strictly 2018 Cal, but didn't make it because I couldn't deal with the frustration of limiting my time to, and at the same time watching something on TV. So I...
What about your Christmas socks? Aren't you going to keep working on those?
Well, I'm hoping to finish them during the Christmas season, so I'm not counting them.
But you still brought them over from 2018.
Yeah. I need to finish those. I've got only one project that I'm thinking about frogging, which is the Convergence top, if you remember. And since I started that one, I have met the designer virtually. Like, I've seen her pattern, oh, I know you, and realized the connection between her newer patterns and that one. And so I might start it over again, but I'm not sure. What about you?
got the Aster top, which has the 2 body panels finished. I need to now do everything else on it, which I thought it was a little bit, but sitting down, I made a list of everything I was missing for that garment. It's you know, I have to do 4 bands total, 1 for the front, 1 for the back, and then 1 for each sleeve. And then I have to crochet the sleeve, and I have to seam it all together, and then I, you know, do.
Well, when garments are made piece by piece, they kind of feel like they take more time to do.
Yes, and speaking of more time to do, I also want to finish my secret garden dress, which is my blanket, I guess, because I just make a square every now and then and I add it. I don't really feel such a rush to finish it because when I do sit down and work on it, I enjoy it. So I just have it as a side project that will eventually get worn and used, but I'm not killing myself to finish it.
Oh, I hope you finish it soon because it's so springy.
Yeah,
it would be great for
it's like
spring and summer.
Maybe I will, I don't know. I also have the Ollivander shawl, which is 2 pattern repeats away from being finished, but that involves 35 rows plus ribbing. So, but it'll get done. And the other one, I mean, I have so many. I'm not kidding. I have the Spicier Life blanket. I have, as mentioned, my secret garden dress, the Aster top. I've got the angel face turban, which was the first knit project I think I cast on this year. I mean, last year. I'm pretty sure that was the first knit project I cast on in 2018, but I got scared because when you start decreasing on it, you kind of have to eyeball where you place your lace, because she just says try to keep it in the same rows, but you're decreasing, so you really have to shuffle around with how you put it, and I just got really scared. Plus then you have to cast off and then pick up stitches and then knit the ties. I psyched myself out of working for that one. But I think that is it. I think.
Well, it'll be a year of, and luckily there are a couple of cows at the beginning of the year that have to deal with finishing your whips and completing projects from either your stash and, for example, Hannah of the Crochet Cottage Crochet, she has a, I said that right, Hannah? Crochet Cottage Crochet. She has, did it start already?
Yeah, it started on the 25th of December.
Okay, yes,
and
it did.
And it's a Love Your Stash cow.
Right, where then, but she also said that whips are part of your stash so that you could continue working on them as long as you didn't buy new yarn to start something.
Yeah.
If you needed a ball of yarn to finish a project, that was okay, but you couldn't buy new yarn to start something. So there are a lot of cows usually at the beginning of the year to help you finish your whips from the previous year.
Faye and Charlie also are, pretty sure it was for Christmas Eve, the 24th. They did their, just in a long, last year it was a One Skein Wonderland cow. One Skein Wonderland cow, yes, One Skein Wonderland cow. But this year they just opened it up to whatever you could finish in 1 month. So if you could finish,
but it was a cast on for a new beginning.
Yeah, but you know how Faye is always encouraging people to finish projects, so she said it's a new beginning, but if you had something.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
But I don't know if I could finish my stuff in a month.
I don't.
But I think maybe in 2 months I could. Who knows, right? It's a new year, it's a new beginning, and that also means new habits, and life just gets complicated right away.
No limitations. We have to start the year shining brightly, positivity, because otherwise it's just going to go downhill. That's what I've told myself.
Fine. Okay, good. So, what do we talk about first? Let's talk about, first of all, what we're wearing. As usual, we decided to double up and match. At least in terms of the yarn.
Which was a coincidence because I actually brought this top to wear for Three Kings Day. I'm wearing it for you guys today.
And then I just picked this out of the closet as something that I wanted to wear today. Clarisabeth actually made both of these garments. This was the first crochet garment that she made for you. No, the second.
No, the second I made for you. The first you never wear, so I'm gonna frog.
But it was the second top. Was it using the same pattern?
Yes, it was made using the Adult Crochet Sweater by Bob Wilson 123 on YouTube. Right. And as you can see, sit up straight. There's no sleeves.
Which is something I don't like. If I were to make the version, I would like to add sleeves because I like sleeves.
They're just
not, little caps. They're little caps.
They're not.
But I think it's at a point where I could actually pick up stitches and add a sleeve to it.
Yeah, you can if you want.
Maybe I'll add a ruffles sleeve. I like ruffles. I'm sorry, but I'm a ruffle person. But the thing about it is that we don't have any more of this yarn.
No.
And it's discontinued.
Yeah, it's Tree Picoboo. It's their cotton bamboo blend, which I am a huge fan of. And the only thing left of it in my stash is 2 balls, 100 grams of the brown, which you see in the detail of the sleeve. And
the only reason it's in the detail, wasn't a planned detail, doesn't come with the pattern, was because she was running out of yarn and had to figure out how can I extend the yarn a little bit, and she decided to do those details. But I think they worked out pretty well.
So I don't remember the name of this top. I'm 80% sure it's the quartz top, and the designer is Mermaid Cat Designs. She has an Etsy shop and her patterns are also on Ravelry. And I really like her patterns because she literally does photo tutorials and they're high quality. So they're about 100 pages, or about 40 pages of patterns because she includes very high quality photos. So I enjoyed working this pattern. I love the detail, all the lace work and everything. It is a pattern object that you might find weird to wear undergarments with, but whatever, you know. And the detailing is also on the sleeve, but they're a bit scrunched up. I love this pattern, but I don't wear it often, I guess. I just like looking at it and thinking, oh, it's so cute.
It is a very cute garment.
You wear that often.
I wear this more often than you wear that, right? But since I have very few crochet garments that are actually tops that I could wear, I don't really use them that often anyway. I mean, this time of year, it's splendid. It's nice, it's cool, it's windy, and even these garments are very good to wear. But in the summer here, even this garment that you would think bamboo cotton,
and that must be stretchy, you know, because this fabric is very stretchy.
But you would still find it too heavy for the summer, I think.
It extends, yeah. So that is what.
So that's what we're wearing. We're dressing as twins this morning to come to you and to.
We're dressing as yarn twinsies.
Yarn twinsies, exactly, and not designer, but maker twinsies because Clarissa made both of these.
Yes. Oh, and I do have plans in the new year to make Mom another top, the peplum top that she's been after me for 5 years. No, I haven't been crocheting 5 years.
Well, I already have yarn to make it myself. I've told her that I can. I just have to.
No. The peplum,
finish up some things that I'm starting.
It's the 50s peplum top that I made.
Yeah, I had plans to make that one too. Because I like peplum. I don't know.
What?
So let's move on to what? To our finished objects?
Yeah, I don't have any.
Okay, so I'm going to share my finished objects with you. And I'll start out with my wool project to show you. Yes, you do.
I have one.
Which is the painting that I made my husband. Can you see if you can...
And that way you can still talk because you can kind of see it.
Well, there's not much I'm going to say about it because I talked an awful lot about it on the last podcast. I just wanted to show you that it was finished. It's not a perfect make. It's not, but there are still things. These type of paintings, you look at them and then you think, oh, I need to fix this. But the good thing about it is you can always go back and fix it up. And now it has to go into a frame because my husband likes framed and we bought a frame for it. But I cut the matting too small and so I have to remat it before I can put it into the frame. So I finished that. And he was...
It smells so good.
My husband doesn't show a lot of emotions or express a lot of his feelings. So he said thank you.
I'm going to stop sniffing.
I don't know how, how much he liked it or not.
Well, I love it and I think it's beautiful.
I was gifted an object that Clarisabeth finished.
Well, I finished that this year, but I think I showed it in my podcast. And
oh, you did? No, you wouldn't have because then I would have seen it. And it was a gift for me. But this is Liula.
Let's start in that corner. And Liula is patterned by my friend Emma Potter, who's the Potter and Bloom podcast, and she's Potter and Bloom everywhere. It's her brand. And this was crocheted using ArtYarns, which you can find on Crafty. They're a pack of minis. I believe it brings 5 minis, and they're 25 grams each. And I put in every single mini that we had pertaining.
Because I had 2 sets.
Because she had 2 sets. The only color that is not repeated is this one. But even with that, it measures a whopping 7.5 feet.
Well, the thing about it was that Emma made her design in cotton and acrylic. And this is
100%
wool.
wool.
So it stretches an awful lot. I don't know if we'll be able to maybe take a video of me wearing it because it almost reaches the floor.
But anyway.
So that was your finished make.
So, no, I do have one more.
You do?
So I gave this
Okay.
to Mom for Christmas, and it's something I didn't show in my podcast because I didn't want her knowing. This was my surprise gift to her. And it is a crochet hook case made with Coca Japanese fabric. It is a 50 linen, 50 canvas cotton. And this is the inside, and all of Mom hooks are in here. Well, all the hooks 5 millimeters and below, because I was saving this fabric that you see on the inside. It's a washed cotton. It's a woven fabric, and it wasn't super sturdy, so it was probably not the best choice to.
Well, also all my crochet hooks didn't fit in here because I have a lot of ergonomic ones that have very thick.
Oh yeah.
What would you call that? Handles,
stuff. Very thick rubber, so you can crochet with it. But that's another of Mom's finished makes that she gifted me for Christmas. And guys, prepare yourself. I'm gonna cover my face. It's more beautiful than my face. So
let me put it a little closer. We had shared that. Well, I had shared it.
I'll put it here.
There you go. On several podcasts while I was in the making, what happened was that I had originally made this square because it was going to become a project bag. It was one of the scenes, felted scenes that I was going to add to my project bags. And then I liked it so much that I decided to gift it to Clarisabeth as a Christmas gift. So when I put it on the hoop, this has a embroidery hoop. And when I put it on the hoop, the square design on the round hoop did not appeal to me. So after the fact, I turned it into a circular design. So that's why you can see that some of the ends don't match.
She crocheted.
Yes. Then I crocheted a border around the embroidery hoop.
And that yarn is a Forbidden Fiber Co. Because she's not Forbidden Woolery anymore. She's Forbidden Fiber Co. I think it is. And
it was just it's a cotton linen?
It's a cotton linen blend. It's called.
And then the back, I just covered it with felt, so that you couldn't see all the mess. And I don't know, I guess she can find some way to hang it on the wall.
Yes.
It's a wall hanging. And so
Edison loved it. He saw it and he was like, yes.
Turned out pretty good. And so that was something that I brought over from 2018 just because it was part of the Christmas gifts, and I didn't share the final object in my last podcast because I didn't want Christmas to see how the final object turned out. Finished objects.
Do you have more?
Nope.
So I think that's it for finished objects. We can move on to makes in progress.
Unless you want to do a haul.
I guess. Yeah, okay. So my half finished object is hopefully a gift for Mom for 3 Kings Day. But yeah, I'm just going to show you and then I'll explain. So this is the Jemima sock pattern by Kay Jones, and it is knit using Regia Pearfect Yarn. It is a 75-25 wool nylon blend, and I chose self-striping because Kay said that the pattern could be knit using any type of yarn. Now, I really wanted to get this done for the Christmas season, so I chose not to do a heel flap and gusset, which is what Kay includes in the pattern, because I wanted to get it done. So I chose to try my hand at the Fish Lips Kiss Heel again, which I had not had good experiences with in the past. The sock that I knit using a Fish Lips Kiss Heel broke like right on the heel. So I was a bit hesitant to use it again, but I've seen so many people use the Fish Lips Kiss Heel pattern that I thought I'll just give it another go, you know?
And this is 64 stitches?
Yeah, it's a, well, I cast on 60 stitches for the cuff, and then I increased to 64 for the duration of the pattern. And this, as Mom said, this is a half-finished object, but...
This is part of her Mrs. Potter collection? Is that what it's called?
Beatrix Potter, yeah.
Her Beatrice, but I think it's called Mrs. Potter collection.
I think that's what the collection is
And they
called.
were a collection of 3 sock patterns. I believe you can still purchase them. And this was the first one. This is Jemima.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Jemima Puddles.
So she actually finished one of her Jemimas, and I'm still stuck on the foot.
So I finished this one, but what I told Mom is that if for Three Kings Day I'm only missing the toe, you're still gonna get it, and it's gonna be a crafty object for you. You get to knit the toe.
Okay, that's okay. I wouldn't mind that. What I didn't want her to do was she said she was going to leave me one sock as a gift for Christmas or Three Kings Day, and the other sock would be a gift for Valentine's Day,
yes.
Mother's Day, or something like that. I mean, you can't do that. You can't give one sock as a gift. So
yes, you can, because then you'll get the other one and it'll be a pair. But there's proof. I am working on the second one. I'm trying to do at least 3 pattern repeats a day, because I did 11 pattern repeats on the cuff, on the foot, leg. Oh my god, I'm all confused today. I did 11 pattern repeats on the leg, then I did my Fish Lips Kiss Heel, and then I just moved on to the foot.
They are looking pretty much matching.
I did have to cake up the yarn though, because there was some knots in the ball. So.
And we did have to take off a part, right? Pretty significant ball that we removed in order to, because it has this yellow yarn that matches, that tells you where to start the sock, and so we had to, all this white part was the part that was left, I guess, in case you were making a bigger sock.
Yeah, probably. But Mom was impressed that I made them so long, because I usually knit shorties, but I was determined that this year she would not say that. So now she's like, that's long.
But they're very nice. A second sock from Kay's collection was the 3rd sock of the collection, but it is a part of that collection is Thomasina. And I started that one, which totally I shouldn't have, because the pattern that I chose, the sock pattern, I just chose a yarn from my stash that Clarisabeth had gifted me last year. It is the Holly Jolly colorway from the Cozy Knitter. It's come all the way from Canada last year, and I chose that one as a sock I was going to use this year as my Christmas socks. I am making
concurrently.
Yep, concurrently. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen updates of the sock. And so the pattern here, this is, I brought my first sock up to the position where it already has the gusset, increases, and now I'm going to actually begin the heel. So
they're so beautiful.
This is, you really can't see the pattern repeat. It's a very simple pattern, and that's why I think it was a waste of time, because it takes longer to do the pattern, and I could have knitted up a lot faster if I had just been doing.
I don't think it's a waste.
If I had just been but it would have shown up better on a different yarn, is what I mean.
You think so? I mean, it does show up in each stripe, so I think it wasn't a bad choice of yarn.
So I've got this one, and I've got that piece of the second one. So at the moment, I'm trying to bring this second sock up to the same position of starting the heel. They're not identical, but they're going to be pretty much the same. And I guess the reason that I have done that is because I'm afraid of the heel, and so I'm just putting off making the heel. But yes, I had hoped to get them done for Christmas also, so that they would be a gift. but
there's that bowl.
They're not going to be done. So that's a work in progress that I have right now that I also carried on to the new year. But like I say, I'm trying hard to work on them every day so that I can have them done by the Epiphany, by the 6th of January, and consider this a 2018 make instead of a 2019.
And speaking of things we work on every day, one of the gifts that we both got this year, because Mom bought one for her and one for me, was an advent calendar, a 12-day advent calendar from Crafty Treats. Hi, Catherine. And
we've been having fun. We were having fun opening that up every day, and we both decided that we were going to start a project that we would add every mini each day to the project.
Mm-hmm. So why don't you go first?
So that was a first for us, the Advent calendar. We had never done that. And we decided instead of to go from the 1st to the 12th to start Christmas Day and go up to Three Kings Day for us. So that's why we're not behind. We're just doing it a different way in case you didn't know that that happened. So I decided to work on the
homebody sweater.
Homebody sweater. Thank you. I don't know why it was coming, but slowly. The homebody sweater is by. It's got a long name.
I know she's Made with Love.
Madewithlove.com. It's madewithlove.com, and just look up the homebody sweater. It's a free pattern. You can also, for a small fee, pay and get a printed version or a downloadable version that you can print.
And you don't have to make it in DK weight like Mom's making it, or the pattern says. I made it last year in fingering weight. Faye made it last year in fingering weight, using the same instructions and the same stitch count. So it's very versatile.
Okay.
Go, show. I'm loving it. Go.
It's very versatile, and what I decided to do was to, I guess you could call it striping, because every day you're going to have a different color from the Advent, but the Advent calendar are sock yarns, and I decided to join it with a cotton blend. It's a beautiful cotton blend from Lion Brand. It's just beautiful. It's so squishy and I love it. It's called Comfy Cotton by Lion Brand.
And it really is comfy.
And it really is glorious to touch. And I have been pairing every day that cotton yarn with one of the minis from the Advent calendar. So this is bottom up. It's not a top down design. It's bottom up. So it started at the rib, and then this is the back side. And I can tell because I made the ribbing on the back side longer than on the front, and that is not in the pattern. I just did that because I wanted to, because I like that kind of split look.
You also used less stitches.
Yes, because I didn't want it to be as wide. It's an oversized sweater, and it looks very good on her, but I didn't think that type of thing would look well on me. In addition to, I didn't want to use all of the yarn, because I just wanted to make sure that these 12 minis were enough to make the whole thing. So what do I have here across? I'm 56 stitches across. The ribbing is by Rose. I did enough rows to reach 17.5 inches. She goes up to 19.5. So I made mine 2 inches smaller. It's going to be a little boxy, but it's not going to be as oversized. And so there's each day. This collection of minis, Catherine from Crafty Treats made, I did less rows on all of these.
Oh, is that on purpose?
And I'll tell you why in a minute, yeah. But her collection is 4 yarns, four seasons. I'm sorry. It's a 4-season collection where she has some colorways from spring, some from summer, autumn, and winter. So these beginning ones were the spring collection. Then mine only had 2 summer collections, and now I am going on to the fall that I think are 3, and there'll be 4 more from the winter. So, and between every change in color, I've been adding this thick, like yarn line. It's on purpose going into, this is half double crochets, so here I'm going into the 3rd loop of each stitch to create this line that actually accentuates the separation. Like, I'm doing this on purpose. I know there is no harmony between the colorways, and so to do that I started out thinking I would do 5 of each of each color, but then doing 5 of each color, I was always getting this line on the back, that thick line on the back, so I had to cut it down to 4 so that the line would go up to the front. And also because I am out of the 20 grams, I am using about 8 grams. I have the front, the back, this is the back, and I have the front. I am working simultaneously on both pieces. Okay, so I've got both of those, this is the way it goes. I've got both of those pieces, and there's 8 there, 8 here is 16, and there are 4 grams left over that I am going to try and incorporate into the sleeves in the same order.
I just seen Mom's version of it. I almost decided to do another fingering weight version of the homebody sweater for myself, but I desisted because, well, I have so many other plans for garments.
Right, and she's got so many other garments. And this will probably just be a sweater that I put away until next winter because I won't have a lot of opportunity to use it here. But it's not a very strong winter sweater. It'll be more like an autumn because of the cotton that it has in it.
I think it'll be good for 60 degrees. You get cold. It'll be good.
So the plan started out being that we would every day incorporate the colorway that we opened up our little package and put it into our projects, but
Mom's working on
what was it, day 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Day 7 was this one.
Day 6. That I got that color as my summer color.
And Mom was...
That was my second summer color, and I can't do that. I can't put that here. I can't. So we decided to open them all up. And to do some swapping. And we cheated. We did some swapping to try and make both of our makes give a little bit more harmony. It's just the OCD of makers where you always have to choose all your colors and that they match.
It happened to me too. Even when I was going random, I was like, no, I don't want to use this. But I think one of the most important things to point out is there are no ends to weave in. So the only ends you're currently seeing are for the cast-on edge on both because Catherine's yarn was just superwash treated. It wasn't like a full coating, so we could...
well, it was treated in the UK, and there was something different about that treatment.
Because we just split-spliced it and joined...
yeah, I found out that I said, look, Clarisabeth, I can split-splice them together. And I've got no ends, and that's what we've been doing.
Because it's glorious, guys. When you figure out your yarn is non-superwash or lightly superwash and it can still fold together.
Well, what happened was that I had read that even superwash yarn that has been treated with superwash can still felt. And I had read somewhere, I don't remember where, I can't quote this, but I had read that you could still felt it, it would just take longer. So I decided to give it a try. And I said, what am I going to lose? And then I told Carissa, look, I can felt the 2 ends together. And
it's great.
I don't know if they'll come apart, but yeah, no ends to weave in. And I'm changing colors on every 5 rows. So that is great. I guess you could also use it like this. If you didn't like... I mean, this is the way it would have been if I hadn't been doing those lines to accentuate.
Yeah, you could do it.
It really doesn't look bad. It actually looks a little bit more faded, type of a faded garment when you do that. Because the color changes are not as obvious. But, well, to each his own, whatever makes you happy.
Well, I think that's a great project.
By the end of the 12 days, which is the Epiphany, January 6th, I will have completed the front and the back. I will just have to seam them together. Right now I'm at the point where I'm going to start my increases.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask.
And so I'll use up a little bit more yarn, so I don't know how the thing about having leftover yarn for the sleeves is going to work out. But I'll probably use those colors where I've decreased when my yarn, when my sleeves become smaller.
Since you're also marling, I don't think there's like such a huge necessity with having yarn left over, because then you could just do your sleeves
in that single color,
or a spot of color here and there where you can kind of just work it up as you go and see how much yarn it takes.
So that might be my first garment for the year.
I think it's great. I am actually doing 2 projects with the yarn. So the first one I really wanted to work up because this year I've been gifted a lot of patterns by lovely viewers and friends of the podcast, and I want to work them up because I don't just want to say, oh, thank you, it's beautiful, which they are, but I want to show that I actually liked that pattern. So this year I did that with the Mascari shawl, with the Moonlit shawl, which was gifted to us by Sandra from Cherry Heart. And pretty sure that was the only pattern I worked up that was a present to me. So this year I struggled with it because when I saw Mom making the homebody sweater, I was like, I want to make a garment too. But I went with my original plan for the Advent Minis, and I am making a Blondala. And this was a pattern gifted to both of us by Catherine from Crafternoon Treats ages ago. And it was actually one of the first patterns I gave away in the podcast. And I just think it's working up so beautifully. The original pattern is intended to use Stylecraft Special DK yarn or chunky. Is it DK or chunky? I'm pretty sure it's DK. And I'm using fingering weight, so I have had to adjust the increases because you don't want it to curl and you don't want it to stretch weirdly. So what I've basically been doing is when the yarn starts to, when the project starts curling, I stop increasing and I work some flat rows. And when it starts curling because of a lack of increases, I start increasing. But essentially I am following the pattern. And this pattern was also included in Catherine's blog post for projects to do with minis. So I'm loving it. I love all the fun colors, especially these two. I think they're really fun. I adopted Mom's mini skein because I'm working a Blondala, so I knew the brighter colors would benefit my Blondala greatly. The only color that I have so many issues with is this one.
And it really doesn't look bad.
It doesn't.
You don't. It's not to your liking.
It's not to my liking.
Like the color.
So when I look at it, it's the first thing I focus on. Which is kind of weird because the point of a mandala is to zen you. And I look at it and I'm like, oh.
So how many colors are in here?
7. No, this I'm doing 2 rows in each color, except for the center. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, sorry, 6. There are 6 colors.
6 days. So there's 6 colors missing still. And so I told her that this would either make a very nice tabletop. We have some round tables. I don't know if she has any.
I don't.
But I have here, or she could put it into a frame and put it up as wall art.
Yeah.
So because if it's supposed to zen you, it'd be very nice to look at it.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And this is actually, I'm using a 3.5mm hook. And just like Mom, I am split splicing my ends together. And out of each color, I am taking out 5 grams to work up a pair of socks because I thought that would be super fun to do some Advent socks.
Well, you know, like there's, I think it's Vicki Brown, and she says that whenever she makes a sweater, she leaves leftover yarn to make a pair of socks to match her sweater. Well, she's going to have a pair of socks to match her mandala.
So these are them so far. I only have days 1 to 3 on them. And I'm using the toe from the My Sweet Socks pattern. And this is an extended single crochet. So you could say it's kind of like the Gorman Street toe-up sock from the Ron Strong book because the stitch is found there, but you know, nobody owns stitches, do they?
No, you don't own a stitch. The stitch, if you're using a stitch count, then you would be using his pattern.
I'm using your stitch count, so. And I'm making these in the smallest size because I've been noticing that my tension is looser, so my crochet socks are looser. So I'm working them up with a 3mm hook, and I'm using Mom's My Sweet Sock pattern.
Oh, so you put into that pink too.
Yeah, I did. I almost didn't. It was like, I don't want to do this, but I did it. Now, I will say this pink was day 2 and this purple was day 3. And I didn't like how the pink looked next to the green. So I moved the purple from day 3 to be day 2, and I chose pink as day 3.
So what comes next?
Next would be this color called Summer Wedding, which is this one.
Oh.
And then this was tropical something. And then this one's something. I don't remember the names, but I've kept all the tags.
I think it was Fuchsia Explosion or something like that.
I've kept all the tags. So day 1 is
They
Daffodil
all have lovely
Lily.
tags.
And what I love about it is that if you notice on the name of the colorway, she tried, and I think she was very successful, to make the font match the colors found in the yarn, so that when you take them out and you have your cards.
Let me see the blue one. You have a blue one?
No, that's yours. No, that's mine. What?
Bluebell
this
Blizzard.
is Bluebell Blizzard. Is this purpley one? Purple.
Oh, because bluebells are flowers, like?
Yeah, it's a flower. So Blushing Lilacs was that pinky yarn, but if you look at the, so
a lot of work went into this.
Yeah.
She made up a card for every single of the many colorways, and it tells you that these her sock yarn is 80% Corridel and Polworth yarn, 20% nylon, worsted spun, superwash treated and dyed in the UK, 20 grams.
And I have to say, I love, love, love the yarn blend. It's beautiful to work with. It's softer than her Romney Lamb's wool yarn.
Well, because that one wasn't a sock yarn.
Yeah, that one. Well, you could. I do have a plan actually to use the first hank of yarn I purchased from Catherine. It was called Bare Earth, and I lie. They were the mini skeins, which I made a pillow out of, and then the full hank was Bare Earth, and I really want to make a pair of socks with those. She said she didn't think her yarn was good for crochet socks, but that she thought knit socks would work because it's just 100% wool, and it's a tougher wool than merino, so I think it'll hold up. But
okay, so there's our experience with our Christmas Advent yarn, and
it's been a ride.
For both of us, it will be probably the first projects we complete in 2019. Yeah. If we continue to be able to put in...
Hopefully those Jemima socks will be the first project I complete in 2019.
Okay, so what's left?
I think what's left is
I guess the only other work in progress that I have is this hat.
Which is almost a finished object. The only reason it's a work in progress is because it's for my dad, and I brought some yarn that Knit Crate.
This is a free pattern on internet, and I made it up because it says it could be for a woman. It's unisex, but it is very textured. And so I got the idea from here of working in the third loop and to get this accentuated line here that divides kind of the sections.
I think that's called the camel stitch.
I think this is called the Wanderlust. I think, Wonder with a U, but don't quote me on that, but I will put it up on the screen. And so, explain to them what you want to do.
So,
I had this makeup for my husband's Three Kings Day. Well, I actually made it up for Edison, for Clarissa's fiance, for Christmas, but then I saw the podcast and Clarisabeth had knit up a blue hat for him. So I decided to give it to my husband.
And since I had brought this yarn to knit or crochet Dad a hat, I was like, well, if you already crocheted the hat, then I could crochet a cowl, because he's not big on winter wear, so he likes what he wears during...
He just borrows whatever he finds from anybody else.
So I was like, you know, it's time to have your own stuff. So what I told Mom is that I would take back these couple of rows of single crochet, and I would finish them using the orange yarn, and then I could use the leftover blue yarn to start the cowl, or to have a couple of lines of blue into the cowl, so that way there'd be some symmetry and they could be a set. So
the blue yarn is Shepherd's Shades. I have the ball band, which is not normal for me. Shepherd's Shades. This was gifted to us.
It was
by a viewer.
No, this was so after Hurricane Maria, I have a lot of friends in the U.S. For my master's degree. We all went together to Syracuse University, and they sent me 2 survival packs, and they figured you're probably getting, you know, all the food and stuff, so we're gonna send you things to entertain yourself. And that was Mary, who lives in, oh my god, the Twin Cities. Where are they from? The Tale of Two Cities. Missouri? Mississippi?
Michigan?
No. Oh my goodness. I don't remember. But she lives there. And she gave me 2 hanks of that yarn. It is actually dyed and
in different colors. This one is Wedgwood.
And they're both spun in the UK.
Oh, are they?
I mean,
they're 100%
in
wool.
the US, sorry. And they're
100% wool, and they are moth-proofed.
They're moth-proof.
That's what it says here.
And they're from Mitchell N.E., Nebraska. Brown Sheep Company. Is that the company from this woman that Kay always admires?
I don't know.
What's her name?
So it's a 5, so it's
Aaron. Chunky.
yeah,
It's a chunky.
What we would call thick worsted.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I don't remember. So this was this came in my knit crate box this month, and it's from Salt City Knits, which is in Las Vegas. She dyes yarn, and it's called Yarnbrary because her inspirations come from literature. And this one's called Copperfield, as in David Copperfield. So yes, I should really start this if it's gonna be a Three Kings Day present.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
So.
If not, I'll have to finish mine so I can gift it.
And let me put the hat in here too.
Okay. So that's all my plans for the beginning of the year. Do we have anything left that you would want to share?
Oh yeah, I wanted to share another yarny gift that I got from Mom, and it's this beautiful Alice in Wonderland because I am a big Mad Hatter fan, okay? 6 impossible things, guys. You have to think up 6 impossible things before breakfast. It's a very good practice. So,
and I got this at a super discount because this is a joint project between a dyer and a bag maker. And I guess the cow that it had been made for had already passed, and they were just trying to sell off the last kits that hadn't been sold. So I purchased it early in the year, and here's the stitch marker that they gave also.
And this is the yarn, which self-striping, which matches completely with movie version Alice in Wonderland, because book version Alice.
Movie version or Disney?
Yeah, cartoon.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay,
because
okay.
in the book she wears a yellow dress and she has brown hair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's a perfect match. Her skin tone, her dress, her hair, her accessories. And I really want to, I think, you know what I think I'm going to do with this? The blueberry waffle socks. They're meant to be DK yarn, but they're I think it's just, I know other people have done fingering weight versions of the blueberry waffle socks. So, because I found out something, guys, while I was knitting Edison's socks, I do not enjoy just plain vanilla socks. I do not enjoy making them. I like there to be a little entertainment in them, so that's why I'm really liking the Jemima socks, and even though I really want them finished, I'm not rushing myself because I'm actually enjoying making them.
Yeah, it's because you hurry up on the back part with the knits, and then you change to the front, so you actually...
There's interest, you know, a little bit of interest.
And you actually know that you're moving along because every time you do this duet thing, you have another row, and it's not like you don't lose count. It's it's nice to have a little bit. I don't know if I would yet venture into those textured and designed socks that look amazing for somebody else to make for me, but I'm not ready for that yet. But hopefully I'll be able to do more knit socks during this year also.
I think so. I think you just limit yourself because you're scared. But
yes,
like
I am very
said,
much limited by my... You had a word for them before. You psych yourself out of being able to do things when probably I could, but I just have to build up the courage.
So I told Mom that in order to encourage this practice, the next pair of socks I make for her will be a tube. I will have knit the cuff and the toes, but she'll have to do the afterthought heels.
Cool. I definitely do not think I'll have a problem with that. I found that easier, and since now I manipulate better my yarn because I've had more practice, maybe I won't cry when I'm doing the heel. If I lose a stitch. That still scares me. It still bothers me, and I still feel my heart pounding when I drop a stitch.
Well, the thing about it, I get more nervous when I'm working with merino yarn because it's silk, it's slippery. You know, it'll fall off.
Well, it's the same thing as when you're working with metal needle versus wood needles. I'm doing my 2 socks that I am doing. One is on wood, one is on metal, and there's definitely a difference.
Yeah, and like I don't know if I mentioned this in the last podcast of the last year, 2018, that I did, but I had issues with the Jemima socks because I wanted to do a knit slip, knit slip knit on the bottom part of the heel. Sandra explains this much better than I, and if you've knit socks, you know what I'm talking about. If you've never knit socks, then
well, if you've knit socks cuff down, all the socks I've made are toe up, including these socks that I say are Thomasina. They are actually not, because Thomasina is cuffed down and I'm doing it toe up.
But thing about it is that when you are, for example, knitting your heel flap, that you do a slip knit to create a thicker fabric, you are doing that in one direction, but when you come back in the other direction, you're doing a purl, which means you are working in those slipped stitches. But that didn't occur to me, so I kept doing my slip knit, and I had done about 3 inches of the foot when I realized that my sock wasn't actually growing and the stitches were all curling under. I was like, well, why is this happening? And that was when I realized that I cannot do a slip knit without actually working maybe a knit row in between, so I can actually work into those slipped stitches. Essentially, I had dropped stitches kind of because one stitch was overextended, and that was the stitch I had slipped. So I had to rip all that back, and I was just like, I ripped out my needles and I just kept ripping until I thought it was correct. And you can see that.
Did you drop something?
No, I didn't drop any stitches, but I don't think I picked up in the correct rows either. So you can see a seam. Let me get closer. You can see a seam here where I potentially messed up the pickup. So I wasn't scared because this yarn is toothy, so it sticks to itself. And I figured, well, nothing's gonna drop. And it didn't. But if I was doing it in my merino, I would have probably cried and never worked on that sock again.
Well, this is all that we have got for you in this episode. It's probably been a rather long one, and I wanted to be able to upload this without much editing, so I don't know how that's going to go.
Sorry.
But we wanted to end the year, not particularly with any resolutions, because I never fall through with them anyway. I'm sorry, we wanted to begin the new year, right, just by wishing you all the happiest year possible, lots of positive thoughts. I mean, we can't all expect every single day of the year to be great, but we can expect to be able to address the issues of each day with strength and with positivity and with a lot of energy so that we make it better. So that's our wishes for you.
Yep.
That you have a great start of the new year, and that it continues to be a great year that you're working at it. Because you can't expect a great year if you don't work at it, can you?
No. I think that if you get up every day with a set of intentions that you can fulfill during the day, you are making your day great because you're doing what you proposed you would do. So yeah, if you have to work at it, have a positive mindset and keep crafting, guys. That's the important thing.
So until we meet again, which should be probably in about 2 weeks, please keep yourself happy, keep yourself safe, and keep crafting.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Yeah.
I don't remember what my music is like.
I don't know what it's like, but I'm excited. Okay.
What are you excited about?
Porque la primera vez que grabamos juntas en 2
Well,
años.
remember to speak up so that, because I'm going to put the mic on. I never noticed any difference with the mic.
Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of the Mind and Muse Crafts. No, we said the, and it's just Mind and Muse Crafts.
Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of the Mind and
Muse.
No, the. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 18 of Mind and Muse Crafts.